And now let's meet our first contestant. Will you enter and sign in, please? James B. Swindal, right? Swindal, where are you from?
Birmingham, Alabama.
Birmingham, Alabama. Right. Nice to have you with us. May I present the panel? Swindal, will you join me over here? Do you know how we keep score, sir?
Yes, I do.
All right. In that event, we'll let the audience in the theater and the audience at home know exactly what your line is. All right. Panel, we can tell you that Mr. Swindal is salaried, that he deals in a service. And Arlene, because you're going to leave us and go away to Germany tomorrow and be away for several weeks.
Yes.
I don't want to be hard on you, so you start the general question.
Are you going to be very gentle with me all night tonight?
Yeah, just about as gentle as I just have been. Will you start the general question?
Oh, that's not gentle enough. Well, Mr. Swindal, do you work for a non-profit making organization?
Yes, I do.
Are you a member of some government agency?
Yes, I am.
Is it the state government as opposed to federal?
No.
That's 1 down and 9 to go. Mr. Gable.
You then work for the federal government, Mr. Swindal.
That is right.
Are you stationed in the state of Alabama in the course of your work?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Does your work ever take you to Washington?
Pardon?
Does your work ever take you to Washington, D.C.?
Yes, it does.
Do you spend most of your time there, your working time?
Yes, I believe so.
Do you have anything to do with the President of the United States?
Yes, I do.
Are you a Secret Service man?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Sir.
Mr. Swindal, in the work that you do in Washington, are you ever in close contact with the President at the White House?
No, not at the White House.
Small question.
That's no touching.
No. Mm-hmm. Bennett, I must say that, to be fair to you, we have to say that it would not be unreasonable to expect that our guest might be at the White House, just in the course of the normal routine of the responsibilities which he bears.
Well, however, I go on then?
Since you phrased it in contact with the President, there in the White House, we have to give you a no. I'm terribly sorry. And how is our guerrilla warfare going now?
It's getting more relentless.
Getting more guerrilla-like all the time. Miss Francis.
Nevertheless, the relationship is with the President of the United States. That was settled upon, was it not? Does Mr. Swindal bear any title besides Mr.?
Yes.
Would the title ever be Doctor?
No.
That's 5 down and 5 to go. Mr. Gable.
Mr. Swindal, you have an appointed office rather than an elective one, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's true.
And you're in the executive branch of the government?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything to do with the President's leaving the White House at any time, for example?
Well, I would say he plays some part in, if the President decides to leave the White House, I think it's fair to say that on some occasions Mr. Swindal has something to do with, say, the pattern and course of his going thereafter.
I see. Do you perform a function which is, say, manual as well as mental in regard to the President's movements?
Yes.
Is there a vehicle connected with what you do, Mr. Swindal?
There is.
Do you either drive or pilot for the President?
That is right.
Must I make a choice of one of those two?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, if the past is any guide to the present, I always make the wrong choices, one of two. So I'll say you drive for the president.
That's very good, Martin. 6 down and 4 to go, Miss Bill Gallen.
Are you the pilot of the Caroline?
Yes, indeed. And Martin, what tickles me most about that is that you've flown all the way back from the coast to come here and be here for Father's Day and to be with Arlene before she leaves for Germany tomorrow. And I thought, well, he's got to go for pilot. He just got out of an aeroplane a little while ago.
John, except in my marriage, I've had no instinct for success in my life.
What a wonderful sentence. Thank you. Well, let's now be formal and say Lieutenant Colonel James Swindal, United States Air Force, who is in charge of a group of some 200 men who
Yes,
who are responsible for the president's safety and his conveyance through the air, and who pilots the Caroline when the president is going.
well, it's actually not the Caroline. The Caroline is the family airplane. We fly the Air Force airplanes.
Ah, I see.
There's a little difference there.
Well, you mean when the president went to Paris and Vienna and London, what did you use? You used a standard United States Air Force,
yes.
707.
That's right.
The Glockenspiel, Murgatroyd, and the Pfannenstaffen, and the stuff that pushes behind. Is that right?
That's true.
Well, I studied aircraft when I was a boy. That's why I know all these technical terms. When you get the Glockenspiel in one of those airplanes, it's really quite an experience, isn't it?
That's right.
It sends people on their heads. Now, I think it goes without saying that Lieutenant Colonel Swindal would not be in his present responsible position if there were not a previous history. He was not only a pilot in World War II when you flew the hump, I believe.
That's true.
And that was about as nasty a flying job as ever
Good
was
experience.
conjured up. Great experience, yes. Did you have those 46s to go
Yes,
up with?
that's true.
And they would just barely get over the top of the highest mountain. And then you were also, I believe, in the Korean conflict, too.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Well, sir, you bear a grave responsibility flying the president around, and you have, as I'm sure you've probably been told before, and as we all know, the graciousness which seems to have come into the White House, particularly with the new first family. It was there with the old first family, but the young new Kennedy family has captured the imagination of the country. And congratulations for being a part of it. It's nice to have you with us.